Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now that I'm done with my studies, I'm trying my possible best to see as much of Canada as possible. For those of you who are not aware, Canada is as big as the continent of Africa, but it has a small population as that of Ghana. Like they always say, the world is like a book, and for those who don't travel, you're only seeing just one page of it. So today I'll be traveling from Toronto to Montreal because I've heard that Montreal is a very nice place to go to. And since I've gotten some days off work and I need to relax, I'll be heading to Montreal. But instead of flying, I'll be traveling via rail, and I'll be taking you guys along with me. Not only will I be sharing my trip with you and giving you a glimpse into my trip, I'll also be sharing some tips with you that you can also apply to yours if you decide to at least take a trip on via rail, so that your trip can be as smooth as mine was. So let's dive right in. My trip actually started from Hamilton because I was in Hamilton for the weekend, and for me to catch the train which was going to move from the Union Station at Toronto, I needed to catch the GO bus from the Hamilton GO station to get me there as quickly as possible. I decided not to drive because I didn't want to fall into any traffic and end up missing my train, because my train was actually scheduled to leave at 11:32, and because it was going to be my first time on the Via Rail, I didn't know whether these guys actually move right on time or their check-in actually closes on time. So the best option was for me to go with the bus, which I've actually used in the past, and I knew it was going to get me there right on time. The first thing I would advise you to do when you land at the Union Station is to check the departure schedule table. At least that will give you an idea of what time your train is actually going to leave. Maybe between the time that you left home to the time that you got to the Union Station, your train might have been delayed or something might have happened. So checking the departure table will give you an idea of exactly when your train is going to leave, which gate you are supposed to get to, and even which platform that you need to at least get to. In my case, it was going to be train 64 to Montreal, which was departing from gate 17. So the first thing I did was find my way straight to gate 17 at the departure hall and make sure that at least I was at the right place. The departure hall is pretty small, so it won't be difficult to find your gate when you get there. And for me, I ended up getting lost along the way, but I was able to ask one of the attendants who directed me to get there. From Toronto, this was going to be a 6-hour ride with scheduled stops at Kingston, Duval, before actually getting to Montreal. So I arrived at the departure hall about 30 minutes to the time that my train was actually scheduled to depart. The boarding process was pretty smooth, just like how they do it at the airport. The business class people boarded first, followed by the first class. Then the rest of us just followed 2 queues and have our boarding passes scanned as we board. And one thing that I noticed the attendants were making sure of was to make sure that nobody was actually carrying any excess baggage, because there was a limit of how much luggage that as a passenger you can bring on board. And if they find out that you are carrying more than that, they will reweigh your bag and might have to force you to check your bag in. So we found our way through the check-in process to the platform, and on the platform there were staff actually there to guide you to the right car based on your boarding pass. In my case, it was going to be car 6 because I got myself seat 6A, which was at the window because I always love to do my sightseeing when I'm on a long trip. Unfortunately, the seat that I chose for myself, I had my back to the direction that the train was actually going. So basically, it was difficult to keep up with the sights because I need to turn my head to see most of the things that are coming up. One thing that I noticed was the seats were pretty comfortable because it kept you upright for sitting for longer periods, because sitting for so much long time, you might get tired or get at least fatigue at some point. But these seats were very comfortable, and it came with a foldable armrest, so in case there's nobody sitting beside you, you can just fold the armrest and just stretch across the seat so that you can catch some sleep along the way or feel more relaxed. And also the seats also come with adjustable table, so you can easily fold the table if you needed to get some work done, which I had to do, or if you needed to, let's say, have yourself entertained or get some food, you can just fold the table and make sure that you have a table in front of you to get whatever you need to get done. And the other good news is each row of seats has its own overhead luggage compartment that you can keep most of your hand luggage in just above your head, just to make sure that they are secured and they are easily accessible as the train is on the move. But if your bags are too big and they cannot fit into the overhead compartment, they also have this luggage storage area in the cars that we found ourselves in. So you can easily store most of your heavy luggage in there, the ones that you're able to bring on board the train. And also one thing that you need to notice, the staff will check your boarding passes at least on 2 different occasions. The first time will be during the boarding process, and at some point during the trip, somebody will come along to check to make sure that you have the right boarding pass for the train that you are on. So make sure that you always have your boarding pass readily available for you to show to them. One quick tip that I will give you is you can easily add your boarding pass to your mobile phone, that's your smartphone, the wallet, so that you can easily access it. What I did was I just added it to my wallet, so I didn't have to print a hard copy, and anytime they came around, I just have to pop it out for them to scan, and that was that. One thing that I would advise you to do if you plan to travel through Via Rail is to try and book early for the best of deals, because one of the best ways to save money on Via Rail journey is by booking your tickets as early as possible. But whether you are a first-time traveler or a seasoned traveler on Via Rail, here are some tips that at least I found out that can help you to save if you decide to travel on Via Rail and get the best deals as much as possible. The first one is what I said, try and book in advance as much as possible, which means if you're able to plan the dates that you intend to travel and you know them well in advance, it will be good to secure the tickets far in advance so that you can get the best prices as much as possible. Secondly, try and book economy class tickets as much as possible. If you are not sure of the dates that you tend to travel, that's if your dates are very flexible, because those tickets tend to be very refundable and they are easily exchangeable at no service charge. Thirdly, you can also keep an eye out for discount Tuesdays. The thing with discount Tuesdays is they will allow you to get last minute deals to be able to travel the following week. So if you tend to travel the following week, you can just keep an eye out and wait for a Tuesday to book your ticket, because you get the best deal as much as possible. Then if you are somebody who is a seasoned traveler and you have plans of traveling as much as possible on Via Rail, my advice is just to create a profile on their page, because what I found out was if you have a profile, they will always be sending you deals and possible options that can help you save money to your email, so that will give you an idea of some of the places that you can go to or some deals that you are not even aware of. My tip number 2 will be try as much as possible to travel during off-peak times. So opting to travel during the off-peak period, you might end up saving, because guess what? It's not during the holiday period. So most people are not traveling, and these people need to now fill the train. So they will give you the best price as much as possible. And also during the off-peak period, the trains tend to be very quiet. So if you are somebody who doesn't like much noise, you can get your peace of mind on that 6-hour journey whilst you're on your way to Montreal. My third tip will be try as much as possible to pack light and smart. If you are going for just less than a week, there will be no need to pack more than one bag. So try as much as possible to pack light, because guess what? The tickets that you are buying, there will be a luggage restriction tied to it. And if you pack more than the amount of luggage that you need to carry, you might end up incurring extra luggage fees that you have to pay, which will end up making your travel cost more expensive than you actually thought. So just make sure to pack the essentials that you need whilst you're on your vacation, because trust me, the staff will always come around to weigh your bag, just to make sure that you are not carrying too much luggage than how much you are supposed to carry. In my case, my ticket that I bought came with one personal item, which should be at least 11 kg and must be able to fit under my seat. Then at least one carry-on item, which could weigh as heavy as 23 kg. Anything more than that, I was going to pay between $25 plus taxes per direction. And one thing too I also find out was that at least packing smart and light not only saves you money, but also it makes you very mobile when you have to just run across platforms or run across terminals just to find your connecting train. My fourth tip will be try as much as possible to bring your own snacks and refreshments if you are traveling on a longer trip, because guess what? Whilst people in the business class, their tickets might come with food and drinks, most of us who are in the economy class will have to order our own food and drinks, because there's nothing coming with your ticket. So you just have to order off the menu. and they have a menu that's both in English and French that you can pick from. And even though the food on board might be not so expensive and very affordable, trust me, having those meals that you pack from the house might make a difference on that 6-hour trip. And also be mindful of any food restrictions that they might have, because as much as you can bring your own food, it's not everything that they will allow you to bring on board. My fifth tip would be entertainment. You will need to have to entertain yourself whilst you're on the train, because it's a 6-hour journey. Just like any long trip, there's so much that you can do. Even if you decide to look through the window, at some point you will get bored. So my advice is to make sure that you pack yourself some amount of entertainment to keep yourself engaged whilst you're on the road. Tip number 6 will be, at some point during the trip, try as much as possible to stretch your legs, because sitting for so long, you'll get tired. There will be blood draining down your feet. You need to walk around to just get some blood circulation. So my advice is try as much as possible to stretch your legs. Move around during the journey. You are allowed to move across cars. Sometimes you can just move across as if you have something doing or trying to find somebody and stretch your legs. Or what most people end up having to do is just try to walk as if they are going to the washroom, so that they can walk up and down the train just to stretch their legs, so that you don't get too fatigued by the time you get to the end of your journey. But in my case, I decided to just take a walk down the aisle just to the washroom, just to at least have an idea of how the washroom looks like. And I was surprised how pretty small the washroom was on board the train. Just like what you have on an airline, it was just big enough to accommodate 2 people. And I was surprised it was very clean and decent, even though it wasn't the first train of that morning, which means those places are well kept and well cleaned, and people are courteous enough that they don't at least mess the place up when they go in there. Number 7 will be, take advantage of the Wi-Fi and the charging station that they have on board. With Via Rail, they give you a complimentary Wi-Fi and charging stations just to help you connected whilst you're on the road, so that you don't have to get disconnected from your family members and your loved ones just because you're on the road and you've lost some cell service along the way. So when you get on board, you can just turn on your Wi-Fi and look for the Via Rail Wi-Fi and connect to it, so that at least you are connected to the internet whilst you're on the road. And also, just down below your seat, there are charging stations that you can easily plug in your laptop, your iPad, any tablet, your phone, just so you don't get to your destination without power on your phone. Tip number 8 will be, try and enjoy the scenery. Like I said, Canada is very big, and on like a 6-hour journey, there's so much to see whilst you're on the road. It will be good to at least have your camera out, see what's on the road, take some pictures of yourself and make some memories whilst you're on that trip, because guess what, you can look back on them and relive all those memories. I was surprised about how much I saw whilst on my trip to Montreal, because the scenes were very diverse and I was really impressed, and it taught me that there was so much to see in Canada. So besides just staying in my province, I'm tempted now to see more of other provinces as much as possible. Tip number 9 will be, I would advise that you plan your arrival before you get to your destination. What I mean by that one is, at least have an idea of what you need to do when you get to at least your destination, how to find your connecting train to your accommodation, how you can even maneuver yourself. In my case, I would advise that at least familiarize yourself with at least the Montreal metro, so that when you get there, you know which kind of train you need to catch to your destination. Even if you need to request for an Uber, you know which gates you need to come out of to be able to request the Uber for you to be picked up. And if possible, you can even schedule the Uber pickup ahead of time, so that you don't have to wait for so long, because if everybody landing at the same time, there might be traffic on people who are at least booking the Uber, which will delay the amount of time that you'll be able to get access to your Uber. So you can book it ahead of time, so that by the time you arrive, it will be ready to pick you up. My last tip will be, just sit back and embrace the experience. Whether you are traveling all by yourself or with family and friends on Via Rail, just relax and just embrace the experience. This is not my first time traveling on train, but I was surprised about how much I enjoyed this particular trip. Because in the past, I've traveled on train, that was mainly in Germany, but traveling on this one was a different experience compared to what I was actually used to. And trust me, the memories that you will make is going to last you a lifetime. So try as much as possible to embrace the experience whilst you are on this trip. It's 6 hours of your life. Make the most of it because you will enjoy it. Lastly, I'll try and share in subsequent videos my itinerary whilst I was in Montreal, so that those of you who might be interested in visiting Montreal, you have an idea of some of the things that you can do, places that you can go to, some of the things that you can do just to keep yourself engaged. Unfortunately, I didn't plan for the weather, so when I got there, it was colder than I thought. So there was most of the things that I had planned to do, I had to just cut them out of my list so that I can stay indoor more. So basically, that was my trip to Montreal. Let me know, since you've been in Canada, some of the places that at least you have been to and how you got there. Those who flew, let me know about your experience. If you drove, let me know more about your experience. And if you went by via rail too, let's hear about how your experience was, so that at least we can learn from each other. If you got value out of this video, feel free to hit the like button so that YouTube will see value in this video and show it to other people. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can join this family as we learn together. And last but not the least, try as much as possible to see more of Canada whilst you are here, because that travel experience that we were all trying to find whilst we were home country, now we are here and there's so much to see and there's so much to do, and the summer is around the corner. I can smell it from here. Plan something and get it done. Until the next video, cheers.